What if the biggest tech monopoly is already quietly collapsing? You are blind to a geopolitical shift that will wipe out portfolios. The reason a major superpower just kicked out Palantir reveals the incoming market reset. For a decade, governments handed the keys to their deepest secrets to a single American company. Palantir built an invisible empire by organizing classified intelligence for Western allies. But that dependency came with a hidden price tag. We assumed data was safe as long as it was encrypted. We were wrong. 85% of European strategic data was being routed through infrastructure owned by foreign tech giants. That creates a massive vulnerability when geopolitical tensions rise. Imagine giving a private contractor the master blueprint to your national security infrastructure without owning the underlying code. The illusion of shared allied intelligence started cracking when policymakers realized they were renting their own sovereignty. The pivot point changes everything. French intelligence just triggered the ultimate software rebellion by dropping Palantir for a homegrown alternative. The Prime Minister did not mince words. Relying on an American platform for domestic espionage is a national security failure. This is the core insight that changes the investment landscape. Sovereign AI is no longer a buzzword. It is a mandatory defense spending category. France tapped a coalition of local tech champions to build a bespoke analytics engine. They recognized that the nation controlling the algorithm controls the intelligence. This move forces every other allied nation to audit their software supply chains immediately. But building a local rival is completely different from actually replacing a deeply entrenched system. And the immediate fallout was brutal. Ripping out legacy architecture is like performing open-heart surgery on a moving train. The French domestic spy agency faced immediate operational blackouts during the transition. Palantir spent 2 decades perfecting Gotham. The French local rival had to match that capability in months. They threw hundreds of millions of euros at local engineering talent to bridge the gap. Everyone tracking global defense tech is noticing the same pattern. When a massive government contract shifts to a local startup, massive capital follows. Venture funds are now actively hunting for European intelligence software companies that can win domestic contracts. The transition proved that local tech ecosystems can step up when government mandates force the issue. But then they hit the real bottleneck. The true nightmare of sovereign AI is data integration. The new system struggled to ingest decades of fragmented classified files without crashing. This is the part where it either clicks or it completely fails. If the new French system missed a single terror threat because of a software bug, the entire political mandate would collapse. The stakes could not be higher. They had to deploy advanced large language models locally without sending a single byte of data over public cloud infrastructure. Running on-premise AI requires massive dedicated compute power that Europe was desperate to secure. They had to pivot their entire hardware strategy just to keep the lights on. How they solved this redefines the whole industry. Wait. Before you write this off as just a European problem, look at the economic ripple effect. France successfully stabilized their sovereign analytics engine and proved you do not need Silicon Valley to process national secrets. This transformation turned a domestic security fix into an aggressive export strategy. Now they are selling this locally hosted intelligence platform to other nations terrified of American data overreach. The market for sovereign AI infrastructure is exploding into a multi-billion-dollar sector. Nations are realizing that software independence is just as critical as energy independence. This is completely rewriting the playbook for government tech procurement globally. But the final piece of this puzzle is the most lucrative part for outsiders. The massive capital rotation out of centralized monopolies into localized tech champions is just starting. Savvy investors are front-running this trend by looking at regional data center providers and local artificial intelligence compliance startups. As more countries adopt the French model, we will see a permanent fragmentation of the global intelligence software market. You can capitalize on this by tracking regional defense technology ETFs and companies building on-premise deployment tools. The practical value here is immediate. Stop looking at just the giant tech monopolies and start researching the local prime contractors winning these new sovereign mandates. The next tech giants are being minted right now inside these closed borders. If you want to spot the next massive tech rotation early, subscribe.